So the next block size war. What happens if Saylor sides with BlackRock? Are you prepared to take Saylor down if he's on the wrong side of that battle? The next one, I don't know when it's going to happen, but it's likely it will happen, is going to make the previous one pale in comparison. It'll look like just like a couple kids in a schoolyard slapping each other.
Okay.
Because something has changed, which is Bitcoin has gone mainstream now. So you're going to have bigger players. I mean, back in the day, we thought Coinbase and Bitmain were big, but now you're going to have BlackRock and Fidelity. And what if they fall on the wrong side of the lines that are drawn? It'll be 10x, 100x what it was before, because players are bigger, stakes are bigger. And I don't know if you noticed, but we have even stronger cults of personality today than we did back in the 2015 era, right?
A Bitcoin war is coming, and it will be 100 times more intense than all of the previous wars and debates it has ever had in its history. This was Samson Mow's latest warning. For those of you who don't know, a heated debate divided the Bitcoin community into two groups between 2015 and 2017. The war centered around increasing the block size limit to handle more transactions. Some agreed, whilst others feared it could centralize the network and reduce security. Amid Bitcoin's massive success this year, Samson Mow believes that another war is bound to happen, and we all better be prepared for it. In a recent interview, Samson Mow warns that if another Bitcoin war were to indeed happen, it would inevitably be more dangerous as more powerful elites are currently involved in the market. Make sure to stick around to the end of the video, where Samson Mow also provides his predictions for the near future of Bitcoin and the Bitcoin ETFs. Also guys, if you want to stay most up to date on the crypto and Bitcoin world, make sure to subscribe to my daily 5-minute crypto newsletter. It gives the latest expert predictions, any breaking news, and top on-chain analysis all in a nutshell. Click the first link in the description to join over 50,000 others in becoming a better crypto investor right now. Now here's Samson Mow's insights on the future of Bitcoin and its ever-growing community.
We should, as Bitcoiners, be cautious to elevate people so far up, because, I don't know, one of the lessons from the block size war was you shouldn't do that, because you call this guy Bitcoin Jesus. Now the media is calling him Bitcoin Jesus, and it's Bitcoin Jesus says you need bigger blocks, and this is not the real Bitcoin. So it's a double-edged sword. Like, he can promote Bitcoin massively to the mainstream media, but if he's on the wrong side when those lines are drawn, that's gonna hurt. We should not mess with the parameters of Bitcoin. Whether it was by design or by accident, it doesn't matter. Satoshi got it right. And one of the takeaways I took from the block size war was we should have respected the original parameters a bit more, because it would have been better. Like, we would have had a smaller effective block and the fees would have been more balanced. You should assume everyone's going to be a bad actor. And this is why you need decentralization of a lot of things, especially mining. You need devs that are not all in one jurisdiction. You need miners that are not all in the US. And I think you need countries that are adopting it too. This is how you mitigate that risk. So I think the work we're doing at Jan 3 to onboard nation states is critical, because BlackRock has a lot, US government has a lot, China has a lot, but let's get some into Argentina. Let's get some into, I don't know, Brazil. Let's get some into India. And then it's a competition between BlackRock and nation states, which I think equals out that balance of power. The market decides, right? And that's the thing about the war. Like you said, as a new, fresh Bitcoiner coming in, you didn't know which was which.
It was hard.
There is going to be a right and a wrong. So we'll find out what the battle is and what the sides are, but I'm hopeful I'll be on the right side. Can't really stop it. It is frustrating, but it'll pass. Just like we've seen fee spikes in the past during the block size wars, when, I don't want to point fingers, but some groups were spamming the chain to drive fees up. Many people still think of Bitcoin as a bad thing that enables bad things, but with the ETFs, I think the whole landscape has just changed. The conversation is different now. It's about an asset. It's not about drug money. It's an asset that's held by institutions. And it's going to be held by more institutions, because I don't think people fully understand the magnitude of what the ETFs did. Now central banks can have Bitcoin exposure without having to hold the thing or get a custodian to hold the thing. Because if you look at the Swiss central bank, they've been buying stocks all over and they've been doing quite well. They can simply just buy the ETF. I think this year we're going to hit 1 million. If not this year, next year, but it's coming very soon. The whole setup we have right now is perfect for a run-up. You have demand far outstripping supply, and supply about to be cut. Halving is in a month and change. The ETFs alone are pulling in about 22,000. So given that the exchanges have about 2.2 million, maybe less, like last note says 2.2, I think it's less. And the demand is like 3,000-4,000 a day just from ETFs alone. That doesn't leave us a lot of time to drain that pool of Bitcoin. So demand is like 10x now. It's going to 20x. So the price should react accordingly. Bitcoin is scarce. So you get into the whole diatribe of collectivism now. Like, does everyone need to have one Bitcoin? Well, then we need to have 8 billion in Bitcoin. We need a hard fork and increase the number of Bitcoin because everyone should have 8 billion Bitcoin. But that's kind of where these arguments are going into. How much Bitcoin should people have? Should Bitcoin be transactable by anybody? And this goes back to the origin of the scaling debate, which is I should be able to buy a cup of coffee on the main chain. And what we should really ask is, do we need fully self-sovereign coffee? Or is a wallet of Satoshi custodial Lightning good enough for buying coffee? I think so. Or is a liquid payment good enough for buying coffee? I also think so. But maybe you have a large chunk of Bitcoin that makes sense to have as your own UTXO controlled by you with your own keys on the main chain. That's more like your house or your nest egg or your inheritance for your kids or something like that. But for daily use, all of these layer 2 solutions with their variety of trade-offs should be good enough for coffee or even groceries or lunch or dinner. As Bitcoin becomes more valuable, it just becomes more desired because it is valuable. And there's a threshold at which you cross. I think that threshold is probably parity with gold market cap, which is about $450,000 to $500,000 a coin. Okay. Once you cross that Veblen threshold, you start to demonetize gold because now this thing is gold. It's multi-trillion dollar, we're already trillion, but like 8 to 12 trillion dollar market cap. Then you start to eat into gold because people see it as equivalent to gold. It's the new gold. And I think the media narratives will say the same thing. That's an important threshold when we pass gold. That's at the point at which gold starts dropping and people start moving the value they stored in gold into Bitcoin. It'll happen en masse when you outstrip gold. Rest in peace, Peter Schiff. Well, you look at all the money printed, the trillions and trillions of dollars, $1 trillion in Canada. How can it not go up? If you think of Bitcoin, it's just a measuring stick with 21 million units on it. The reason why the number has to go up in fiat is because this thing is static. And you printed a lot more of those numbers, so it's got to reconcile to this somehow. The way to look at it is the ETFs are just a doorway to the fiat economy and the fiat system. That's it. Don't think too much of it. Don't hate it because it's custodied at something and they're maybe like Coinbase or whatever, but just treat that doorway as a good thing and let the market do its thing. That's the most important thing. Well, it'll lead to number go up, which will lead to political shift.
So there's Samson Mow affirming Bitcoin's impact in the current world of digital finance. As Bitcoin becomes more mainstream, the stakes and potential conflicts increase significantly. While the previous Bitcoin wars may have been about issues like block size, future conflicts could arise over different issues such as the addition of regulations like the travel rule into Bitcoin itself. But while Samson Mow foresees conflicts arising from Bitcoin's current success, he also expresses optimism regarding Bitcoin's price potential, suggesting that it could even reach $1 million this year or the next, driven by increasing institutional interest and the introduction of ETFs. Additionally, Mow predicts that Bitcoin's growing acceptance, facilitated by institutional involvement, could lead to significant political shifts globally, similar to El Salvador's adoption of Bitcoin as legal tender. With all of that said, Mow's perspective ultimately highlights Bitcoin's transformative potential in both financial and geopolitical realms. If this content resonates with you, don't hesitate to subscribe and like the video. Your engagement helps continue to bring you insightful and timely content. Anyway guys, hope you all enjoyed today's video and that provided you with some value. I'll see you all in the next one, and as always, all the best.